Hello and welcome back to Ben and Danielle Reviews. I'm Ben and today I'm going to be talking about games I played in January. So January, I have my stats pulled up here, was a lot slower month for me. I had about 30 or so plays as opposed to the normal like 50 to 60. So it's been a slower month. I will say there's a couple reasons for that. Being the shop, I've been working a lot there, increased my hours a little bit after scaling back the last couple months. Also, Sharita, who I've been playing games with, has been busy doing things, and we've been working on our top 50 in the time that we've been spending together. In time that we normally would be playing games, is making our top 50 videos. But I get some games played. I got about 24 games, different games played this month. And I want to talk, most of those are with Sharita, but there are others that were played with the game group. Didn't do any solo gaming this month, as I haven't been doing for a little bit now. But I'm going to talk about some of the games. I have it up here on my iPad here, so let's get through it. So starting off with the games that I played the most times. So I played 3 times. I played Santorini 3 times. Santorini is an abstract strategy game. Is an abstract strategy game in which each player is going to have a special god power, and you are going to be having, you each have 2 workers, and you are trying to, you're going to do 2 things on your turn. You're going to move, because it's going to be on this square grid that you're going to be moving your workers to, and then you're going to be building up a level, because there's going to be 3 levels total. You're going to be building these kind of, I guess, buildings up as in the city of Santorini, and you're trying to, you can only move, when you move up your worker, you can only move up 1 level, but there's going to be 3 levels total, and you're always going to build next to the worker that you are moving, and so you're trying to just move up and be the first person to get to the 3rd level with their worker on their turn. Also, there's these blue dome pieces where you can cap off the 3rd level for to stop your opponent from winning. I played this 3 times at the shop. Was not with Sharita, that was with someone else that in our game group, and I won all 3 games of that. All right. And so the second one that we played was Carcassonne Winter Edition. We played that twice. I played that once with Sharita, and then once at one of my game groups. I think it was my Wednesday group I played that with. We played a 5-player game of that. We had a good time with that. I can't remember who won the one at the shop, but I'm pretty sure I won the one against Sharita. Carcassonne is a game in which you are building up a city and building up a map, basically, of little square tiles, and you always have to match like terrain, whether it be city to city, road to road, and grassland to grassland. But in this game, the grass is completely replaced by snow. I just like the aesthetic of it. It's the exact same game as the base game. I just like the winter aesthetic for that. But you're trying to build the longest roads, cities, and also monasteries. And there's also the pesky farmers, where you can lay them face down on the map, and they stay there for the rest of the game, but you get 3 points for every city that's complete in that area. It's a cool game. Definitely a one that a lot of people start off the hobby with. I know I started in the hobby playing Carcassonne, and it's one that I haven't waned from. Normally people will move on to other games, but I still enjoy playing Carcassonne. Alright, the next one on the list is actually right in front of me. That is High Season, the Grand Hotel Roll and Write. So this is a roll and write version of one of my favorite games, Grand Austria Hotel. And in this game, you are going to be rolling dice, and you're going to be taking dice to perform actions, where the strength of that action is the number of dice that show that face. So they're d6s, and each die face will be associated with a specific action, and how powerful that action is that you take is going to be defined by how many of that die that were rolled. And this one was a surprise for me. I knew I would like it because I love Grand Austria Hotel so much, but this one is a nice game. It plays in half hour, 45 minutes, especially with 2 or 3 people, and it's I think it's a good way to get people into the hobby, or at least into this game. If you're interested in Grand Austria Hotel, I recommend trying the Roll and Write first and giving that a try. It's a good game. It's basically Grand Austria Hotel without the aspect of the cafe. You're not managing your cafe resources or checking guests into a cafe first. You're just putting them into rooms and checking them into rooms, and that's it. But it's a good game. I definitely one of the Roll and Writes I'm definitely looking forward to playing more of. So the next one was a game that has been on my shelf of shame for a long time, and that is Lorenzo Il Magnifico. So Lorenzo Il Magnifico is a dice worker placement game that takes place during the Italian Renaissance, where you're managing family members and getting different buildings and character cards, and you are going to be collecting resources to turn them in for for more buildings, and for faith points, and for military strength and victory points. And it's played over 6 rounds, and you have to manage not only your resources and your servants and your dice, because everyone has the same dice values, and just how you use them. And you also have to activate different card effects to get more resources. And yeah, it's dice worker placement with Euro mechanics, which Grand Austria Hotel does that, and I think it's one of the same designers. This was one that's been sitting on my shelf for a long time. Glad it finally got played. We played this twice. The next one that we played was Awkward Guess. Was a game that I suggested to the group on, it was a Wednesday, and everyone really enjoyed it. None of them had played Clue before, so it was kind of hard to get into to start, and I kind of had to help them out a little bit. But that one went over really well once everyone learned how to play, and everyone really enjoyed it. Awkward Guess is a Clue-like game, minus the board, where you are going to be solving the Walton case. Mr. Walton has been murdered, and you have to you're passing cards back and forth between players with certain strengths of information, where there's a strength 3 card will have a better information than a strength 1 card, and so on, and you're passing them back and forth strategically to get more information for the case. You're going to have your player screen, and behind your player screen will be a sheet where you're going to be writing things out, and you're trying to deduce who killed him, and the motive, and how with the murder weapon. And that is Awkward Guess. A fun deduction game for sure. Yeah, the next one that we played for the first time, not for the first time, it was the second time playing it, was a game called Blood Rage. So Blood Rage is a area control card drafting game by Eric Lang, and it takes place with it's like the Norse Viking theme, and you are trying to take over regions, and so there's the regions around the board, and then there's the center of the board is Yggdrasil, where anyone can go to, and then each other spot around the board is a limited number of spaces, but you're drafting cards, which will be battle cards, will be upgrades to your ship, to your leader, to your warriors, to your entire crew. Also, there are going to be monsters that you can get, which are like big trolls and leviathans and such that you can get as upgrades, and they make just stronger characters. And Blood Rage, it's a fun card drafting area control game. Another one that Sharita and I played was called The Bloody Inn. So The Bloody Inn is a game that we talked about a little bit briefly in my top 50. A game in which you play as 1800s French inn family members. You're running an inn, and you are going to be checking guests into the hotel. You're going to be recruiting people to your criminal empire, and you are also going to be knocking off guests in their sleep and taking their money and burying their bodies. But you have to have people help you doing that because you can't do it alone. The more valuable the guest is, money-wise, the more help you're going to need to get with killing them, burying their body, and such. At Bloody Inn, you'd think with a game like that it's a very serious game, but it's a game that doesn't really take itself seriously like that, and that's I like that a lot. So the next one that we played was Coup. So we played that once. Coup is a social deduction game in which you are trying to eliminate all the other players by staging coups or assassinating them, but it's all hidden roles. But the thing is with that, you can actually lie about what role you have. So you could say, hey, I'm the assassin, I'm going to kill your character. But then players can be like, I don't think you're the assassin, I think you're lying, and they can challenge you. And in which point you have to show your character to them. But if you were right, they lose one of their influence characters. Yeah, so if they were wrong in their acquisition, they lose a character. But if they were right, then you lose one of your characters. Okay, it's just a little tiny card game that plays very quickly. So there's player elimination, but the game doesn't last too long for it to really matter. Another game was Fantastic Factories was one that I got to play for the first time. Sharita has been talking about, hey, you got to play Fantastic Factories. You got to play Fantastic Factories. And she had a couple expansions for it, but I said, let's play the base game to start. And so we played the base game of that. It's just a sort of dice rolling engine building game where you are going to be collecting resources to play these factory building cards. And with those, we'll give you more powerful effects, and it will give you more resources. But I like the aspect of which you are trying to do as much as you can with just a few dice. I think you're given 3 or 4 dice, and that's it. And you can get more dice, but you have to earn them. So it's a cool idea. Not one of my favorite games, but it's definitely one that I want to get to try again some more. All right, and so what else? So another new game I played this month was called Green Team Wins. Green Team Wins is a sort of party game. It only plays up to 6, which I think kind of hurts it. I would like to play it with 7 or 8 people at some point, but it only goes up to 5 to 6. So, but regardless, Green Team Wins is a game where there's different types of cards. There's the best of 3, where you have to choose your favorite of 3. There's fill in the blank, where you have to fill in the blank with a right and answer in, or this or that, where you have to do it's like kind of like a would you rather sort of thing. So in this game, everyone's going to be writing an answer at the same time. You're trying to pick the most popular answer from the group, from what you think will be the most popular answer, and everyone reveals at the same time. If you are in the majority with your answer, you join what's called the green team, and you get points. You get points by being on the green team, staying on the green team. And whenever you're not in the majority anymore, you go to the orange team, and you have to, and then you don't get any points for that. And then at the end of, I think it's 18 questions, 13, so there's a certain number of questions. After that many questions, you see who has the most points, and whoever does is the winner. So it is a competitive game where you're trying to be part of the majority. So these kind of party games, where they can be fun every once in a while, they're not my favorite kind of game. So I'm not sure how many more times I'm going to play this. I might give it another try or two before rehoming it to someone else that will appreciate it some more. All right. What other new games did I play this week, this month? So I played the Pokemon Battle Academy, which is kind of like the learn to play game. I had one of my gamers wanting to learn how to play Pokemon, and they had bought that, and they asked me, can you teach me how to play Pokemon? And so I taught them a Pokemon trading card game using the cards from this board game here. It's a nice little learn how to play. Pokemon is not my favorite trading card game, but the game itself is good for teaching people who don't know how to play. All right, two more I want to talk about for new games I've played for the first time. One of them is Long Shot, the dice game. So Long Shot, the dice game, is a dice game version of Long Shot, where you are going to be rolling dice, and you're going to have money, and you are going to be not only buying up horses that you think are going to win the race, but you're also going to be betting on horses, collecting jerseys, which will help you improve your odds of moving your own horses. And you'll be also have this concession stand where you're going to be just trying to fill in rows and columns to get rewards. And it's just whoever gets the most points once 3 horses cross the finish line wins. It's a cool little roll and write game, and it plays up to 8 people, which is really nice, and it plays in like half an hour, so I can't complain with that. Definitely I want to get to the table more often. All right, the final one was one that Sharita was bugging me to get. It was not easy, so I had to have it imported from Korea, but it was Pokemon Splendor. And so Pokemon Splendor is the Pokemon re-implementation of Splendor. So it's just Splendor with Pokeballs for gems and Pokemon as characters. And then you can evolve your characters, your Pokemon, from lower stages to evolutions. And it's a race to get to it. This one, I think it's 18 points, whereas the other game, it's 15. So there's a few differences with this, but it's mostly the same game. Sharita really likes this game, so yes, it's gonna stay in the collection for that reason, even though she has her own copy. We oftentimes play games here anyway, or at the shop, so we'll keep my copy, we'll keep her copy. Yes, and that's that. I'm trying to think what else. So I played, we broke out the expansions to Parks. We played with the Nightfall and the, gosh, I'm forgetting what the other one is, but I'll put it with the other one. We played both expansions of Parks. Parks is one of Sharita's favorite games, so she's been bugging me to try that one out, and we got to it. I thought it added some cool things to it without making the game too complicated. I do think it adds a little bit of complexity to it, so it's not something I'll want to include all the time, but it was a nice mix up, and it had some extra parks for you to visit, which is cool.